I just made a 2D Destiny game. Kind of. What you're seeing on the screen is a game I've been developing for a while now, and it is called SUMBR. SUMBR is a 2D shooter slash platformer inspired by Destiny, but not in the way that you may be thinking. Quick little side note before I dive into more details about the game, please wishlist it on Steam. It really helps to push the game in the Steam algorithm, and I would really appreciate it if you did. There is a link in the description to the Steam page. With that being said, let's get back into the video. You see, Destiny is a class-based sci-fi fantasy MMO type shooter with a PvE experience where you could play story missions, strike missions, public events, raids, and some pretty iconic PvP experiences as well, like Iron Banner and Trials of Osiris, in a shared online world while earning Rarity-Based RNG rewards. And in that same vein, my game SUMBR also aims to be a shooter with a shared PvE world and a PvP experience. I pretty much took bits and pieces of that Destiny buffet and slapped it together on a silver platter. SUMBR is similar to Destiny in many ways, but also different in many more ways. I'm going to be showing you how you can compare the two games, including the game design philosophy, the rarity-based RNG system of the game, and the overall setting and story of the game. So first is the design philosophy of the game. For example, Destiny is a class-based shooter where you're either a hunter, a warlock, or a titan, and each of those classes have different unique subclasses and abilities. Whereas in my game SUMBR, there are no classes, there are no subclasses, but instead, there's one universal class system that allows everyone to unlock and equip special abilities via the weapon and armor augment system. You see, in Destiny, you unlock weapons and armor based on a rarity RNG system, and each piece of gear comes with randomized perks, and which is why the game loop is so fun and addictive, because you want to get the best combination of random rolls possible. Hence why chasing the so-called God roll became such a popular thing in the Destiny community. But in my game SUMBR, the rarity RNG system is implemented within the weapon and armor augments, which is a 3-tier system having many augments with different rarity and potency in each tier. The rarity system in SUMBR is pretty similar to Destiny, but slightly different. For example, you have the common items, uncommon items, rare items, legendary items, and then heroic items instead of exotics, because I had to make it different somehow. I don't want to just, copy pasta. But this rarity-based system isn't actually something new or unique to Destiny. Many other games actually use the exact same system, but Destiny just happens to be one of the most popular games that uses this system, and now I'm using that same exact system in my game as well. So with these weapon and armor augments system within SUMBR, there are 3 tiers. So for example, in tier 1, there is an uncommon augment that reduces your grenade cooldown timer. And then in tier 2, there's a legendary augment that increases your grenade explosive damage. And in tier 3, there's a heroic augment that causes your grenade to split into 3 separate grenades, spreading the area of effect. So when you combine all 3 of these augments, you've pretty much crafted a demolition build that literally turns you into a walking nuke. Here's another example of an insane combination of augments. I'm currently working on a tier 1 augment that enables a directional shield and completely disables your weapons while limiting you to melee only combat. And when you combine that with a tier 2 augment that increases melee damage by 40% and a tier 3 heroic augment that reduces your melee cooldown timer by 75%, you've pretty much crafted a defensive melee only brawler build. I mean, I can go on and on and on for all these different kinds of combinations that you can build. So not only are you earning these game-changing rarity-based RNG rewards, but you're also earning character cosmetics like your actual armor. And keep in mind, these have 0 effect on the gameplay itself. Other than looking cool, it has 0 effect whatsoever. So another way that my game SUMBR could be compared to Destiny is the overall setting and story of the game. Destiny is a sci-fi fantasy game that takes place hundreds of years into the future within our solar system, while keeping a grounded, rustic feel and not going too far on the sci-fi spectrum. Whereas my game SUMBR is a sci-fi game in a similar grounded setting, but it's simply just human versus human, colony versus colony, faction versus faction warfare. There are no fantasy related aspects of the game like space wizards or aliens or supernatural powers of any kind. At least for now. I don't know, that might change, but for now it's strictly just sci-fi in the near future, still grounded, still rustic, still feeling a little earthy. Human versus human combat, and that's pretty much it. And when it comes to the actual story itself, I'm going to try my best not to spoil too much of the story, but the story of SUMBR takes place 300 years into the future, where a guy named Amadeus led his nation into becoming the first established civilization in the depths of space. And in the process, they discovered new minerals, materials, and resources, surpassing anything already known to mankind. Amadeus, with all his newfound resources and power, eventually built a monolithic space station known as the SS-1 SUMBR, which is where he lived and set up his kingdom. And during his reign, he was later killed by the 7 members of his royal council, which ended up splitting into 7 different factions that warred against each other for power, resources, and overall control of the SS-1 SUMBR, because whoever gains access to Amadeus's chambers within the SS-1 SUMBR ultimately controlled the entire solar system. And this is where you come in as the player. You, the player, are part of a group of people trying to reinstate the values that Amadeus once had over his kingdom and prevent these other 7 factions from ever gaining control and access to the SS-1 SUMBR. So overall, I hope the story is compelling enough for people to be interested, and that the premise and the overall theme and the design philosophy of the game is interesting enough for people to actually want to support it and give it a chance. This game is very much still in development. It's currently in the alpha stages. Some people have told me to maybe launch a Kickstarter campaign so I can have more resources to, actually fully work on this game and finish it on time. But I'm not fully sold on that idea. I've always been pretty iffy about doing stuff like that, where people financially back you while the game itself is still in development. And I just have this fear of just not being able to fully deliver on the promises that might be made on a Kickstarter campaign. And at the end of the day, I am only one guy. I'm only one solo developer, and there's so much to do within the game, especially within the story campaign. It takes lots of time to get the game to a standard that I want it to be. I want there to be a fully playable story campaign at launch, a fully playable multiplayer experience with both PvP and PvE, with a proper progression system at launch. And until it gets to that point, the game won't be fully released. It won't be fully ready, and I just won't feel comfortable. But with that being said, if you do want to test out some multiplayer components of the game, there is a playable alpha multiplayer demo that is available for free on Steam right now, so you can go ahead, link in the description to download it as well. Keep in mind, this is an early alpha build that I decided to release simply to get feedback on the overall gameplay and the overall feel of the gameplay. It is a 2 to 8 player local multiplayer demo, but you can play it online via the Steam remote play feature. I've tested it, it works. You just have to have a decent internet connection. So if you want to play online with friends, you can do that, or if you want to play locally with someone next to you, a couple of friends, you can also do that as well. It is a fully supported controller game, so if you have some controllers, grab some friends, and test the game and give me some feedback. I would really love that. And with everything that I just said, if you would like to support the game and the development of the game, all I ask is that you please wishlist SUMBR on Steam. If anything I just showed you seems interesting or intriguing in any way, shape, or form, I would really appreciate it if you just add it to your Steam wishlist. Like I said earlier in the video, it really helps to push the game in the Steam algorithm. So whenever it is released, you'll be one of the first people to get a notification of it. And whenever there's a multiplayer beta as well, you'll be one of the first people to get a notification of it. And whenever I do end up doing a future playtest, like a closed beta or anything like that, you'll be one of the first people to get a notification of that. So again, if you want to support the game and the development of the game, simply all you have to do is just maybe like this video, share the video, whatever, but also more importantly, just wishlist the game on Steam. I would really appreciate it. And yeah, I got nothing else to say. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, remember to give it a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, as I will continue to make these kind of videos and continue to update you on the state of SUMBR. And with all that being said, I don't really have anything else left to say. I'm kind of running out of words and I'm just yapping at this point, so I'm just gonna go ahead and head out. All right, bye.